this lesson, we're going to talk about how you can make sure that your website converts more people to subscribers as an e-commerce brand. Subscription is so impactful. When you're offering a subscription as an e-commerce brand, it can really help drive up your monthly revenue, make it more stable, and also increase the lifetime value of your customers. I've rarely seen a case where a subscriber has a lower lifetime value than a one-off purchases. It's because we see often higher retention and more buy-in to really testing the brand and making use of it. But how do you convince people to subscribe? How do you convince your existing customers with your website to subscribe? And how do you convince new website visitors to subscribe, who are a lot harder because they don't trust or know your brand yet? We're going to talk about 4 things you can do to increase that conversion rate and convert more of your website traffic into subscribers. The first we're going to talk about is getting your discount right. So this is less a website change, but more fundamental thing in how you're setting up your subscription offering. When you're offering too low a discount, for example, 10%, customers might not be willing to give up that freedom. They might not be willing to say, hey, I want that 10% discount in return for sticking to this brand. They might think, no, I'd rather just order one off here and there. And especially if you're offering sales next to that higher than that 10%, they're like, I'll just stock up when it's 20% sometime. So you need to make sure it's high enough that it's interesting and that it's a better offering than what you're doing for one-off purchases. You might even need to decrease what you're offering for one-off purchases to make sure that subscriptions really have the best offering. If you go the other side of it though, and go too high, let's say for example 50%, and quite a few brands might do 50% off the first purchase and then go to like 20%. But even then I'd say that's too high. And the reason why is you'll see higher churn. You see people are like, I'm willing to try it out for this amount, but now that I'm paying double, is it actually worth that to me? You're basically degrading the value of your product. And I know part of that is trying to get people on board, but we'll talk about an alternative approach later of what you can do instead of increasing that discount amount. You always need to test this. There's no one size fits all. But if you're starting out or you're thinking about, hey, have we got it right? Usually I see 15 to 25% being a good range to be within. And the exact one will also depend on what your competitors are offering and what will allow you also to be profitable. If you think, hey, I can't offer 15 or 20% off, my margins are too low for that, it could be worth even considering increasing your one-off pricing to ensure that subscriptions are really attractive. I did this recently for a brand and it was hugely impactful. We saw not only one-time purchases in the short run increase as people are stocking up, the ones who didn't want to subscribe, but longer term, we saw more and more people going on subscription. And though in the short term, it didn't increase revenue, by month 2, month 3, we saw that overall revenue was growing hugely because of this. Here's a great example from Fussy Deodorant. They're a natural deodorant that offers refillable deodorants. They offer 25% off and also free UK delivery. So they have a really clear offering here of what you get when you subscribe, and they have the percentage plus some additional benefits to it. And that's where that welcome offer comes in. So I already said up front, I'm not a huge fan of extra discounts on just that first order because it might attract the wrong type of customer and it might not lead them to actually sticking to your brand. You can also test, just as an alternative suggestion, a discount over a few orders. But usually when I've looked at retention, I found the best setup was some type of welcome offer, something that buys them into the brand, that builds their brand loyalty, adds value to them, and ensures that they actually want to stick around and they're building up what they need to use your product. Here's an example from Darcy. What they offer is with your first delivery, you get a free spoon, you get a free mug, you also get a free jar. And so you're building up your portfolio to use their coffee. And I really like how they visualize this on the website too, where they show a visual of each of the free gifts you're getting. And you're also saying what it's worth. How much is it worth what you're getting? Rather than just saying you're getting 15% off, they're saying you're getting 15% off and all of this as well. Next is that you really need to sell the benefits of subscribing. Too often we forget that subscriptions in themselves are a product too. We need to sell them on the subscription, not just a product. You need to make sure that you are communicating this effectively on your website. If you don't have a separate page for subscription, I can't recommend it enough. This allows you to really go into more depth about why they should subscribe, what the benefits are, what the value is, what the common questions are that people are asking and what the answers are to them. And you can then have various blocks on different parts of your websites leading to this. The key thing is not to try and list just a load of benefits, but get really specific about why people would want to subscribe. One of the brands I was working with, their subscription page originally had 9 benefits on it. It was just too much. It was overwhelming. And it was quite vague because they didn't want to go into too much depth because there was already so much copy. We narrowed that down to the most popular benefits, the ones that people really cared about when they subscribed. I think it was about 4 or 5 that we narrowed it down to. And the result was that we saw that people going through that page were twice as likely to convert as before because we were getting really clear on what they needed and they had an opportunity to dive into all the extra information around it. Here's a good example of Harrington's dog food. It's the brand that I actually used for my dog. And they have these really clear blocks on their website showing you what it is to subscribe, what you can expect, that you can manage your account, that you can earn pet points with it. I think they could be a bit more specific with the rewards and examples of it to really drive home that value. Like, what can I do with my pet points? What kind of rewards? Because right now they have to click through to another page. They could add a few examples. And the other thing that I think is also really good when you're using these blocks is to be specific as to how many days upfront you can cancel, pause, change, because anytime doesn't seem very trustworthy. Does anytime mean on the day that it's already being delivered? No, probably not. So usually brands say 3 or 5 days upfront. The final one is building in trust and flexibility into your setup. Now, this again might feel more like a practical part of your subscription. How is this going to help conversion rate? But it's not just about building it in, it's about communicating it really clearly. People want to know they're in control. They want to have the feeling that you're not going to just push them into subscription and it's going to be a huge hassle to manage and change and adjust. You want to make sure that you show this at the product block. How can they manage it? We already mentioned it before. Make sure that you really are specific about when they can change it and how they can change it. But you can also build this into your FAQs. And if you want to go a step further, you could even do little GIFs or images of what it looks like to manage that subscription, just to show how easy it is, how quickly they can change it. Things like letting them know that they're going to get email and SMS reminders. All these little things really add up in converting subscribers. If it's too much information to get in your product block, one solution is what MatchaBar does here. They set Matcha, no surprise there. They have a little product block to show you more information about what it actually means to subscribe and save. They call it a monthly Matcha club. So you already know really clearly, hey, I'm getting it every month. And they talk about what you can expect in terms of it. You're getting it discounted always. I think that's another thing, really clarifying that they always are getting that discount. And it says, hey, you can register and manage your account at any time, flavor, quantity, size, whatever you want, you can adjust that. And that gives the customer a feeling they're in control. I think they could go a step further. I'm always thinking about what they can do better about these things, because for me, register sounds like a hassle. If they say in your automatically created account or with your passwordless login, if they think that their customers will understand what that means, that just highlights, and you can do it really quickly, or you can say in just 2 clicks, you can adjust it. Things like that build that trust even further because you're being really transparent about it and showing that they don't have to email or call you to make those changes. So those are the 4 factors that will help you improve the conversion rate of your subscriptions. Making sure you get that discount correct and communicating that on your website, making sure that you have some type of interesting welcome offer to get them on board and to convince them to convert, making sure that the benefits of subscribing is just as clear as the benefits of your product. You need both. It's not one or the other. And then building in trust and flexibility in your setup, making sure that they feel in control every step of the way, and then you're not just pushing them into a subscription without them realizing. I'd love to challenge you to take a look at your own website if you're offering a subscription and thinking about where you can improve these various areas.